Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News on the South Florida Conservative News Center. It is Saturday, October 11th, 11:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And two things I know. Donald Trump owes me $19.78 for my breakfast at the diner, and B, the address of a new diner to go eat in. And why is that? Because once again, my only routine in the morning has been stifled by the Trump administration and their supposedly horrifying desire to put 200 U.S. soldiers into the center of Gaza, surrounded by terrorists, and it'll turn into a 300 style movie siege, blah, 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 Black Hawk Down, shit, shit, shit. And to the Jew haters that I had to deal with this morning, again with the Jew haters, right? Who's not tired of that in the morning? Especially when you're told that China is a benevolent friend of the United States. They just overthrew the government of Peru. That's a video for tomorrow. China overthrew the government of Peru. Yeah, they paid the girl to step down, the president to step down. We're not talking about it. We are talking about, if you saw the earlier video, the peace accord between Israel and Hamas. Peace accord, phase one. This is the beginning. They will not stop shooting each other until shit is signed. So once again, to the Jew haters, that's why Israel's blowing shit up still, because in Middle Eastern warfare, and I will mention it again, go out to a bookstore. If you can't do that, you can get the ebook, Modern Islamic Warfare, An Ancient Doctrine Marches On by Harold Rhode, Rhode. The whole book is 82 pages long. If you're going to talk about this stuff, I'd like you to read it. If you just want to hate Jews, then tell me you just want to do that, right? Trust me, the longer you do these kind of people are like, why do you keep bringing it up? You have no idea how much shit I have to delete about that. I mean, the worst stuff. Because they don't watch the videos, which is fine. No one's forcing you. So here we're going to talk about the 200 troops that are being sent to Israel, not to Gaza, to Israel, what their role is as far as we know, the facts only, not the secret Rothschild shit, none of that. All right. So I'm going to be a little more automaton than normal. And like I said, I'm a little pissed off still from this morning when I have to hear this stuff from people who just let's segue again back into this. You can be a racist or an anti-Semite or anything you want to be, and I don't care. I watch it on television. I watch it on the news. If you want to do any kind of commentary on the politics of any place in the world, you're going to have some level of it, especially when you're dealing with the socialists because they live for it. Their whole doctrine needs to have competition between sexes and races and this and that and the other thing, or it doesn't exist, right? So if you are that person, if you are that Nick Fuentes fan, if you are Tucker Carlson seems to be in there too, or that black girl, so I'll be that guy myself and say that. I don't like to mention her name because she turned out, I think, to be a bigger traitor to the Kirk administration than anybody did. Just let me know that's what you're doing. Don't tell me you're doing it for any other reason. Don't tell me you have a problem with whatever, this, that, and the other thing. If you want me to say the word with you, I'll say it with you. Or if you can't get me to say the word, buy a 50-cent record. The word's on there enough, right? So that's that preemptive. This is the information as we know it from governmental sources and from people that are printing governmental sources. This is not somebody's friend who had a TikTok page, all right? So here's the story, and we roll. President Trump has authorized the deployment of about 200 U.S. troops to Israel as part of the new peace framework between Israel and Hamas. Now, This is not a combat invasion, not a secret operation, not another forever war, or as somebody this morning said, those Delta Force guys that are going over there and doing this. I don't think there are 200 Delta Force guys. I don't know. I don't think there are. I think we'd have to go out and buy some more to make it up to the number of 200. That's what I'm saying. Get over the conspiracy. And we're going to explain who these guys are. And you can still call them what you want to call them, but I'm going to tell you what they are. Okay. In fact, if you look closely at this deployment is one of the most restrained uses of military presence that we have seen in the region in years. All right. Because Trump's people aren't as stupid as some, regardless of what you people think. These troops are being placed inside Israel, not inside Gaza. The job is to staff a civil military coordination center. It's a hub that keeps all the sides talking to each other and prevents confusion from turning back into gunfire. This is not an S2 unit. This is not probably got a little warehouse warrior going on there, stuff like that. This is to keep the coordinated documentation of all these other Arab governments that are going to be there, and Hamas and the PA and the Israelis and everybody else. Keep all the paperwork flowing. Okay, they'll be working alongside Israel, Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and even the Emirates, surprisingly, to make sure humanitarian aid gets through, the borders open safely and close when necessary, and that the ceasefire actually holds. The U.S. 200 troops will not be patrolling streets, will not chase militants, and will not enforce martial law. The job is coordination. It's helping the region not slip back into the shit box that it is. And that is a job worth doing carefully. You can always go out and throw bullets at people later on. This is the finesse, guys. This is almost like State Department shit, but State Department obviously has a lot going on. The military's handling it. It's handled through Central Command, CENTCOM, as they call it, the professionals. And if you've been around long enough, you know why some people get nervous when they hear U.S. troops and peacekeeping in the same sentence. And I remember this when it happened. I was in high school. 1983, the U.S. Marines, Reagan, were sent to Lebanon to keep the peace in a civil war. And they were not supposed to be combatants either. Then came the Beirut barracks bombing, a suicide truck that killed 241 Americans in one morning and entirely stalled Ronald Reagan's peace process ideas for the Middle East. The bomber, I believe, was killed very recently in the last few years. All that time, I think he was known and they just did not go after him. I mean, it wasn't known in the Reagan era, but later on they figured out who it was. He was a white whale to a few CIA guys, and they eventually, from what I understand, tracked him down. I believe they killed him. 241 American Marines, all young men, killed in this bombing. Stopped the peace process cold. And one of the worst days of Marine Corps history. And it proved that even so-called peacekeepers can become targets the moment the lines blur. Honestly, there are people that are just happy to kill Americans, and that is what everybody is mindful of. That's why the Trump administration is being extremely careful here. These 200 troops are not being dropped into Gaza's war zone. They are being stationed on secure Israeli bases under Israeli protection with clear boundaries and a narrow mission. This deployment looks like it was designed specifically to avoid another Beirut, because nothing would be better than killing Americans and dragging us into the conflict, which is what can occur when we get there. But if we do not have somebody, and I don't believe, honestly, it's not my to believe it or not believe it, we could sit them in a fucking warship off the coast as far as I'm concerned. But if we have to show them that there's some ass out there, then I guess we have to show them there's some ass out there. But this is where it gets interesting to some people and myself. If you remember the first Trump term, the Pentagon and intelligence bureaucracy was leaking like a fucking sieve. And it still is to some extent. Any disagreement with Trump's foreign policy, Syria, Afghanistan, you name it, would instantly find its way into the Washington Post under an anonymous defense source. This time we've got nothing. We've got crickets. And it's not because Hegseth threatened all those guys. And it's not because we have a list of traitors over at the securities desk. We have no leaks. We have no alarm bells. We have no formal officials. None of that. And that should tell you something, okay? If there were hidden combat plans, if there were reckless exposure, if there was internal dissent, the leaks would already have been out the minute the word was sponsored. They said, we're going to do this, boom. They would have already put the information out, right? Because those guys are still at that level to be able to leak. Instead, the reporting from every major outlet matches the public story. 200 troops, support role based in Israel, not in Gaza. That means the mission is what it appears to be: limited, lawful, and deliberately cautious. And before you guys say you're just being a shill for the Jews, Frank, sometimes a potato is a potato, boys. Sometimes we are not setting 200 of our own people up to be slaughtered to go into another war to wipe out the rest of the Middle East. Okay? Sometimes you can do more with this than actually doing the killing. This is a smart thing. This is what the Chinese would do, right? It also means for once the Pentagon and the White House are on the same page. And that alone might be the biggest change in Washington's foreign policy playbook in years, especially regarding the Trump years. Now, that doesn't mean we should tune out on it at any means. I'm not 100% behind this at all. All right. As I've just said, we could have sat off the coast in a battleship or whatever, and we could have taken those phone calls. We could have Elon Musk's space, whatever the hell his internet system is. We could be in love that way. But this is also a key chance for our people to interface with members of 5 or 6 other armed forces that they would not normally have the opportunity to deal with. We don't really do a lot with some of these countries. We'll send trainers in, we do this, we do that. We have a war game once in a while in a country that has a liquor prohibition issue, shit like that. But this is going to be able for our professionals to see if the militaries of some of these countries, which unfortunately for us usually just walk around killing their own people, if they've got what it takes to run a professional armed force, and if they have what it takes to administrate this Gaza shit, because this is going to be Arabs and the Israelis running the show. It is not going to be, America is going to be on high, like Nest of Eagle. We're not going to be in the ground on this. If we are, I would be greatly shocked. He's got to save up, meaning Trump, he has to save up every bit of political clout that he has when he turns this whole party around and moves to the Pacific. Doesn't have time to waste political currency in the Middle East. Okay? And as I said, don't tune out. Every U.S. mission in the Middle East, even a small one, can grow teeth if nobody's watching it. Saw how Syria went down, right? So the public still has to be vigilant. We need to make sure this deployment stays what it's meant to stay, which means no mission creep, a logistical, humanitarian, non-combat operation that ends when the peace process moves forward. No mission creep. No blurred lines, as Alan Thicke would tell you. No drift toward occupation. Don't believe when they say, when Trump said, oh, it would look nice to have condos here. He says shit like that. It would be nice to have condos there, but the Palestinians like to live like they live. So you're not going to have that. All right. We are not going to take over that part of the world. It's our responsibility as citizens to make sure this support mission doesn't quietly morph into something else. And you do have the ability to do that by keeping up with what's going on there. Look at, I don't like Human Rights Watch that much because they don't really do much watching, but there are services that you can go and look at, and they will tell you what's going on. And the minute you hear anything that sounds like a warble, you can go to your list of elected officials and look for those in the Armed Forces Committee and send them an email saying, I don't like the idea that it sounds like we're starting to move towards an occupation of Gaza. That's when it happens. You've got to get to them before the horse gets out of the barn. That's the problem. Everybody bitches after the fact. I have a town that does that. They make it where you have to make all your comments before the actual discussion, and then they just discuss it and then they vote. So you just get fucked, right? If you wait like a civilized person, it's not going to happen. So just remember, once you start seeing leaks, you're going to have some issues. They are not diabolical enough at the Pentagon to want to kill 200 American soldiers because that would have leaks of its own. Whoever got caught setting up 200 American soldiers to be murdered by terrorists would swing. There would be no nice trial like Comey's getting. You would hang from your heels or whatever. So don't believe all these people telling you that's going to happen. The memory of Beirut, if you remember it, should, as we're pulling these guys out of this rubble, it was an incredible bomb. But the memory of Beirut should keep you humble. Peacekeeping in the Middle East is never a risk-free adventure. It requires discipline, it requires clear limits and constant public attention. If we stay alert and the administration stays honest with us, especially the military component, it could be the model of how America uses power in foreign affairs without getting trapped by it. So that's about all. If you have any questions and comments, as we always say, we're here on whatever 1,000 platforms we're on, and Substack as well. We have Substack. We have our own site, southfloridaconservative.com, BitChute, Rumble. We got just started getting a little traction on YouTube, surprisingly. We'll probably get demonetized again. And that's about all. So have a good day and enjoy the rest of your weekend.